Hello, and welcome back to a very special episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. As you know, my name is Nicole, and I am thrilled, excited, humbled to be here with one of my mentors who I even got to intern with all the way back in 2020. Right before the whole world closed down. Like that was like the last project I did. I remember because we had to end early. But here she is, the amazing Rachel Pederson. So Rachel, please take it away. Introduce yourself. You are the queen of social media, but let us know a little bit about who you are and who you help.
Oh, I love that. Nicole, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's funny that you actually brought up the internship because just the other day I got that itch feeling again, like, ooh, what if we did it even better? Like, oh my gosh. So I think about that internship all the time to this day. So, and it's funny because sometimes we think that like people don't recognize our names. You know what I mean? Like, oh, there's no way that they recognize my name. Every time I search for a few core assets inside of my drive, your name comes up and it's
Oh,
there. So I see your name every time I search for this one specific lead magnet and this one. Isn't that so wild how that works?
that's
I
cool.
I know. So I'm Rachel Pederson. I'm a social media strategist. At this point, I've been in business for over 10 years. And along the way, some really cool things have happened. I've worked with clients such as Dean Graciosi, Russell Brunson. Still kind of blows my mind a little bit because I just feel like this, I'm just like a mom from Minnesota with three kids, and life does not always feel that glamorous, but business has had some really cool wins in it. I'm an avid writer and reader. I love movies and studying storytelling and psychology, and I'm obsessed with a lot of craft things like my curtains behind me. I know people can't see it on the podcast, but I sewed them for the dimensions of our windows and then like
Cool.
hand arranged everything. So I'm kind of just this like homebody nerd in my personal life, cooking, cleaning, sewing. I love that stuff. But I'm super excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here. Now, one of the requests that you made of me was to ask you directly. In the question, one of the questions in the form, you're like, just ask me this on the show. So, Um, you've had to overcome yourself. You have such an
Yeah.
incredible story. It's in your book. I loved your book, by the way.
Oh,
Got to read it on the beach. I bought it, and every time I went to the beach, I read it. So I have that awesome association. But I want you to tell my audience your story of how you went from really broke, you were a hairdresser, you
yeah.
were an alcoholic,
Yep.
and now you're the queen of social media and you're like a nerdy homebody and you're just making things happen. So tell us the story of
Yes.
Rachel.
Okay, so I grew up the daughter of a pastor and a worship leader, just at different churches growing up. And so even though I'm actually super, super introverted, people don't believe me on that. But I'm the type of person where like I need alone time. I don't necessarily want to be center stage. I'm just as happy making costumes for a musical as I would be like starring. In fact, I think I get more joy out of that. But I learned from an early age, like kind of how to show up and be resilient. I grew up in definitely the definition of poverty. And so because of that, like there were so many life lessons that my dad specifically like instilled in me. If you don't have the time, you better have the money. He would say, you're a survivor. Survivors never quit. Survivors never give up. And I was like, okay. And that was really locked in for me, those mindsets. But it didn't exactly get easy before before it got easy. Still isn't easy. Still waiting for that part to kick in. But I kind of was like lost with my life at the age of 20, which most people are. And I was partying. I was definitely an alcoholic. I was broke, had so much debt. And then all of a sudden I found out I was going to be a mom at 21. And I was like, I got to figure something out. Anything. I'll take anything. So I went and applied for jobs like at Taco Bell, got denied. I was devastated. Applied at every single job I could find online, and nothing was working out. And I realized I think I need some skill set to like get me jobs. So I went to school for hair, took out another 20 grand right there in student loans. So I'm drowning in debt, single mom, freshly off of welfare, and I became a hairstylist. Now, I worked as a hairstylist. I loved that job. I thought it was so fun. I love hair and like creativity and just beauty. I love creating beauty. But while I was working in that job, I met my husband, Paul, and sorry for another time. We eloped 13 days after we met, which was in hindsight a great decision for us specifically. But I had this client sit down in my chair after I married Paul once I was pregnant with baby number two, still in debt, still no clue what I'm going to do with my life. This client sat down and we started talking about like business and marketing. And she was like, "So, how do you do marketing as a hairstylist?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just post and then they show up. I'll post a before and after of extensions or a before and after of a curly hair transformation, right? Like, here's how we defined the curls." And I was
Mhm.
like, and then clients just book. And she was like, "Do you want to be our marketing consultant?" Turns out her and her husband owned a fast food fried chicken franchise. And I was like,
Mhm.
sure, I don't really like fried chicken and I don't really know a lot about marketing, but let's do it. So I said yes. And then I learned everything along the way as I went, usually just in time for a meeting or a question.
Mhm.
Hmm. And that was the start of it. And then I dove in fully and started learning, started looking for new clients. And it took me about a year to realize, oh, I could do this on my own outside of like the traditional routes. So I went for it. From the time I went serious, I will never forget, it was November 2015. And I was like, I'm going to publish the website and get serious about this. And I replaced my income from my day job within less than 6 months. And then I replaced Paul's income from his day job within a total of 9 months. So in 9 months, we went from us both working full time and this side gig to, whoa, this just replaced both our jobs. I think we're kind of serious about this now. And then that's kind of what has evolved into where we are today.
That is amazing. And it's so inspiring, right?
Thank
Because
you.
you didn't have the advantages that a lot of times we hear other people had. I had money, I had this, I had an inheritance, and you had to crawl your way up. And like I've followed along with your story and I've seen a lot of your videos, and so we you got that strong parasocial relationship. And it's just so beautiful that now you get to run your business with your husband.
Yeah.
And you get to travel the world and go to Spain and buy a wedding dress.
Yes. You know what's funny about that story? I actually didn't mean to buy a wedding dress in Spain. So, because I grew up like poor, I didn't know that there were real stores where you had to ring a doorbell to go in, but I had seen it in Bridesmaids and I thought it was
Mhm.
the fanciest, bougiest, coolest thing ever. And we're walking through the streets of Spain for an event for our click students and literally I see a doorbell and I'm like, Pronovias, I've heard of that before. Let's set up an appointment. And I bought my wedding dress in Spain on impulse, kind of like how I do a lot of things in my personal life.
That, that is cool. But that's so cool that you
Yeah,
got to be there and that you were able to do that, right? And just be like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm taking home the dress. So
yeah.
congratulations. That's
Thank
amazing. I
you.
love that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. But you told me that you wanted to actually talk about something that's a little sensitive, but it's really important and impactful.
Yes,
And so we were talking about 90 Day Business Magic, a program that you ran.
yes,
And I just happened to mention it because, I do that with you too.
yeah.
Um, and then so take it away. What is it that you wanted to tell me about that and what that
Ooh,
has to do with failure?
so, well, let's talk about failure.
Yes.
So, there's something interesting in business and marketing, but anytime someone is put into a position of like a platform or a pedestal, they're
Mhm.
seen as an expert in any capacity. There's this like belief they should have everything figured out. I think we
Mhm.
all assume that. I assumed that for so long that, Marie Forleo's life was butterflies and roses. I straight up was like, I know she says it's not, but I'm not seeing evidence to prove anything other
Mhm.
than she's got everything together. And I was like, oh, I feel so messy compared to that just because that's what I'm
Mhm.
seeing. And I don't know, I felt like failure for a long time. I felt like it was shame filled and I had to like kind of try to gloss over it and hide it. And I've been working for like the last probably 5 years on starting to call out my own failures faster. So I had a recent failure and I wanted to talk about it because I don't want it to be like, oh, a decade ago I made a mistake. No, I made a mistake last year. So we launched this program called 90 Days Business Magic. And the whole premise was I'm going to build this anonymous, faceless brand, which I still really want to do, but I know not to now. I want to build this anonymous, faceless brand related to sewing, which is one of my passions. I love it so much. And then I'm going to allow people to watch me build it, like watch my entire process happen. And then this has never happened like this before. As soon as we launched both, so 90 Day Business Magic is open. I'm excited and stoked about Sewing House. I was like, this is gonna be huge. Suddenly, like it was the perfect storm of medical issues, grief. A situation happened with a family member that was intense, and I was like, I don't know how to dig out of this one. And I don't, Nicole, are you like this? I struggle to cut loose like things that aren't working. I will hold on to something forever and be like, no, I can still fix this. Do you ever feel that way too?
Yes.
Yes.
I relate, yes.
Yes. And there comes a point, and some of us ignore it, me included, where it's like, this is not working. And I'm spending so much energy now just trying to make this work. And I don't know what it is, but I can't see it while I'm in it. And I just kept trying and I was like limping along through this. And meanwhile, I mean, I had this medical adverse reaction to a prescription and it was like making me lethargic and I had no energy. And this snowball of things, I was like, I don't even know where to start. And it took me quite a few months to finally be like, I messed up. I can't dig out of this one. I probably should have said this like 3, 4 months ago, but I was just like, oh my gosh, I actually have to abandon ship and then address the ship that's sinking behind me. And thankfully, it wasn't like a big thing. It wasn't like sewing houses built up and then we didn't have stock for the orders we had just collected or
Mhm.
something like that. There was the business manager side, and I was like, oh, I feel so awful because this 90 Day Business Magic group, they still got to see my inner workings of how I approach business. And there a lot in depth, but I was like, I just feel like crap. And because I felt like crap about this failure, which is a common pattern, I was like, maybe I'll just keep trying harder to overcompensate. So it was like I'd go under and then I would overcompensate. And I'm like, it's
Mhm.
still not fixing it. And I wanted to talk about it because it's recent and it sucked and it stung. And I even had one person report me to the Better Business Bureau because she was like, this is not good. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to own it this time and like face it as early as I can. Now that I realize this is failing, I'm going to take it on and be okay with it. Cancel payments, make refunds as necessary. But dang, I messed this up. It was not the right offer, not the right timing. And there's something so beautiful about being able to have a recent one to reference now for, yep, that was a failure. So, yeah.
But you ended up pivoting?
I pivoted once. So that was another attempt to like, let's right the ship. Let's do
Mm-hmm.
everything we can. And there is something to be said. You might agree with me on this. There's something to be said for trying to right the ship. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
can we do to try, pivot and make a course correct? So I pivoted into a whole other topic, which was meditations, affirmations, and hypnosis, just the ones that you listen to that are positive while you sleep or while you're just like, I just need a quick pick me up because I'm obsessed with those. I love them. Huge fan. I love NLP. I study it pretty obsessively. And I started there and then it still didn't work, Nicole. And I was like, I am so uncomfortable with every single thing about this. I'm uncomfortable with all decisions. I shed a lot of tears because I was like, I feel like a failure. And I've got this email from Sarah that is reminding me that I am a complete and total failure. Okay, maybe it's time to actually say, I gave it a good go. I attempted to upright the ship and nothing worked. Those are the hardest moments when you put your all in and something just doesn't, it just isn't connecting or working. But that's, yeah, that was after the first big pivot, I was like, for some reason, this isn't working, or my heart's not in it, or something, you know? Yeah.
Yes. And so, what advice do you have for someone who's facing that and who says, you know what, this is not working? Like, where do you go from there?
Ooh, okay. So something I struggle with, and others might feel the same way, is when I'm faced with impending doom, like something that just isn't working. I struggle with feeling like, with honoring the step back needed. So I am a big believer that we can step back and analyze the situation, but we actually have to create a little distance for a few days or a week. You know what I mean? Like fully step back. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to pause, and it needs to be communicated. I am going to reevaluate some things because this is not flowing how I wanted it to. Um, I'll let you guys know what I come up with in a week. So stepping back can be a really helpful thing. That's also helped me a lot in relationships. So if I'm in a conversation with like a kid or with Paul, and it's not that we're like screaming or throwing things, but like if we're at an impasse, I'll say, "Hey, I don't think we're going to get on the same page today. Are you cool if we, bring this up tomorrow or the day after we get some good sleep, you know? Like, let's go have a weekend sleep and then let's talk about this." So the step back is huge, and then being like, "Okay, let's get radically aware. Why didn't this work? How can I prevent that from happening? Is this a sinking ship that's inevitable, or is there just a few holes we need to plug through stepping back?" So that step back is everything, and then kind of having that radical self-awareness of, oh, this doesn't work because I am wired this way, and this is not something I want to change at this time. That's a huge thing. Have you found things like that to be helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Um, it makes me think of the book The Untethered Soul and learning to
Yeah.
take a step
Michael
back.
Singer. I love
Um,
him.
I don't know if you were the one that I know you recommended Happy Pocket Full of Money, so I'm in the process of reading that. That one's like,
Yeah.
um, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was not.
No.
It wasn't quantum physics from chapter one. You know what I mean? But it's really
Uh-huh.
good. But the untethered soul, where you take a step
Mhm.
back and you see everything as the observer,
Yes.
so that it's not happening to you. It's happening to you, but like you're watching it. And so you create that separation so things
Yeah.
are easier. It's less emotional. It's
Yeah.
more, you can look at the whole board versus
Yeah.
being stuck in that moment. Because then you get stuck in fight or flight, freeze,
Yep.
and then you're not helpful to yourself or to anyone.
Yeah, it's so
Been
true.
there.
And especially for those of us who maybe, I mean, I know I'm wired this way where it's like I have to be doing to prove my worth. Um,
Mhm.
got to stay busy. You got to prove you're working hard. You've got to, like some of the things that were instilled in me about hard work are really helpful in many ways, and in some ways, like that is a limit. It's a limiting belief. Like I have to work hard always to be making good money. I have to be doing to prove my value. And the truth is, we all probably need to spend like at least one day a week stepping back and being the observer. And I know I need that. So the in-betweens are just as important as the doing, if not more important, to make sure that when I'm doing, it's the right things in the right way or the best way.
Yes. Getting comfortable with being instead
Mhm.
of doing and just
Yeah.
being.
Uh-huh.
Um, that's been a big lesson for me.
Really? It's
Yes.
hard. Yeah. So
Yeah, especially with our hustle culture, right? Like we're always, like you said, just going, going, going.
yep.
You have to be productive, but rest is productive.
Mhm.
Um, taking time off, like you said, if you're so busy and there's so much going on around you, how are you going to connect with the source?
Yes.
Like how are you going to hear back from, those um inklings, like the, like our intuition, like we can't
Yes,
hear it if we're too busy doing a bunch of other stuff.
yes. I do think that's where having like mentors or consultants or even just like sounding boards is so big. People who can, step back as the observer when you're like in intense moments and they can say, "Hey, I'm just going to be honest with you. That's not even what you want to be doing right now. Like, this is so not a focus. I think that you can table this for later. You don't have to abandon it, but you can come back to it." Or, "Hey, no, I saw your face light up when you were talking about this. I think you're letting fear stop you." Like those voices in our lives, they can step in as those stop back gap observers when we're in busy seasons. And especially for those of us who have like kids, it's always a busy season. You don't know what a Tuesday is going to bring. So for me, that's Paul. It's been mentors. And then, like, I get to go into companies as a consultant and they're too close to the force. They're staring at each reel's performance. And I'm like, no, look at the bigger picture. Look at what this is all creating. Don't focus on the one that didn't perform. Look at this. So that's where those sounding boards can be so big. And yeah, Paul's my number one. I don't pay him enough for that, but he's great.
And I think that speaks to the importance of community, right? Like we can't do this alone. Like
Yes,
no matter what type of business you have, or no matter what type of life you have, even if you're not in business,
yes,
we need community. We need
yes.
mentors. Um, yeah. So
I think so.
um
I need them, that's for sure. Every day or week, I'm talking to someone who we act for sounding boards for each other. Is this a good idea? Have you seen this? Do you think this would help me? And that saves so much time.
yes, it's like masterminding, right?
Yeah.
And something that I talk about in my book is books, is getting with your mentors and reading their books, and watching their free videos. Like you provide a lot of free resources. I wanted to ask you about that, because I feel like you want to make things accessible
Mhm.
to everyone, and you talk in your content about how you are one of those freebie people. That's how you got
Mhm.
started. That's how I got started.
Yes.
So can you talk to me a little bit about how that plays a role in your business and in
Yeah.
how you help others?
Yes. So, you know how some people are money hardwired. They love
Mhm.
making money. They love money. They love the process of it. I've never been naturally hardwired that way. I don't know how much is in my bank account at any given time. I didn't when I was poor either. I just didn't care. I was like, I'll just see what happens. I don't spend much money, and I think that actually would surprise most people. I'm very thrifty, very cheap. If my kids are like, "Can we get Cane's?" I'm like, "I don't like fried chicken, but I can make killer fried chicken at home." I'm the make it at home mom. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes my kids wish I weren't that way. But money, like to me, the perfect society wouldn't have money, even though I know that that's not real. Like it doesn't really exist in this day and age. So for me, money doesn't motivate me as much as seeing people create change. And so, an interesting thing is that I know that to run a business, hire a team, lead people, provide things at the level I want to, it all does cost money. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to release as much as I can for free. And some things will be organized and compiled to make sure that this institution can keep running itself without, us running into the ground or anything. So free things, I will say, have transformed my life and the lives of millions of other people. I am a huge believer in free. It's how I decide who I'm going to like and trust. It's how I find what I'm going to fall in love with. Cheap is amazing too. I know a lot of people in my space, they will just talk down about like freebie seekers and low ticket offers. But when I was a single mom on welfare, I needed a pair of dress shoes for a wedding. And I found a pair, I won't say what brand it is, but I found a pair of designer shoes for 99 cents. And they were beat up, but they worked really well. I still have them in my closet. I still wear them. I still love them. And now I know that that designer creates lasting quality clothes. So if I ever needed a fancy dress and I was at a store that had that designer, I might be like, huh, okay, this one will last the test of time. So there's something about free and cheap that can actually bring in premium buyers in a way that most people wouldn't expect. And it's a great way to, make yourself stand out from the sea of people who are peddling stuff they've never even done. So, yeah.
Love that. And that is such a great analogy. I love thrift shopping. I love the treasure
Yeah.
hunts. I found so many good things, and then
Uh,
they're very inexpensive. You're like, oh yes, they didn't know what this was. Yes.
That's what we always say. When there are certain stores we'll walk into and we're like, uh-oh, they know. They know. And all the
Yeah.
prices are high. And you're like, no, I was looking for the weird hidden gem with like a, chipped enamel on the front or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm also very like my grandma was a seamstress, and so
My
like I
grandma
learned to
was
sew.
too.
Oh,
That,
okay.
okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on. I got another one for you. My birthday is April 1st.
No way. You're an April Fool too?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I was like, "Oh my God, I have to remember to tell her that."
I'm so glad you remembered. Okay, so do you love your April 1st birthday? Sorry, I know this is a tangent, but do you love your April 1st birthday?
No, everyone
Oh,
loves to play pranks. Nobody believed I was being born.
yep. I love it, but everyone always thinks I'm joking when I say
Yes.
it's my birthday. And I'm like, well, then I've been joking for 36 years because it is still my birthday. So
Yes.
I love it though. Oh, we're twins.
I know, right? Different years, but we're
Yes.
twinsies. And then both of our grandmas were seamstresses. So we were talking about the thrift store and how like,
Yes.
if I find something and like there's a button missing, I'm like, I can fix this at
Instantly.
home.
Yeah, I know. I'm currently working on my button jar. You know how both my grandmas had button jars and they just collected buttons. Yes. So I'm working on my button jar. Both of my daughters, actually, mostly my older daughter Dakota, she's been sewing a lot of stuffed animals by hand. We have a scrap
Cool.
bin where all of our old clothes with cool fabrics, we put them there so that we never have to buy fabric for test projects or even full-on projects. It makes me sound like I'm like cheap, but I'm like, yeah, I literally grew up scrappy. So, yeah, she was like, do you have a button jar? And I was like, that's what I'm missing. I don't have a button jar yet. So, oh, I love that you know all of that.
Yes, I'm thinking about my button jar. It's like in this
Yes.
little plastic and then it has the
Yes.
little ladle and the whole thing is full and you can see through
Yeah.
it. It's so cool.
I love
And I'm
looking through
pretty
those.
sure I collected them from different grandmas and stuff, and I put them all together. So yeah, there you go. That's
Cool.
you can look for buttons in the thrift store. Anyway,
Yes.
um you are so much fun. All right,
Thanks.
one last thing that I wanted to talk to you about.
Mhm.
One of the big foundational things of my book, like the secret sauce I discovered, right? Like what I
Yeah.
found at the bottom of the well, or so to speak.
Mhm.
Gratitude. Can you talk to me a little bit about what role gratitude has played in your journey?
It needs to be like breathing. It needs to be
Love it.
like breathing. Okay, so as I built my entire business, one of the hard parts for me is I'm a very verbal processor, whether I'm by myself and talking into like talk to text or I'm journaling, I got to get words out. And the first time that I built my business, I realized almost for, and I say the first time because there was a clear before and after. In the first, like the come up, the first big come up, I realized that not everybody else was like living and breathing the business the same way I was. And so it made me feel very like not isolated, but I kept a lot to myself, which just basically meant that I was limiting the expressions of gratitude throughout the day. And so it wasn't as enjoyable. I wasn't grateful for,
Mhm.
oh wow, we sold this program today. That's so fun. Oh wow, our new student just got this from this. That's incredible. I really missed out on just savoring the moments. And I felt like maybe if I try harder or build this bigger or make it more impressive, more people will care as much as I do. And that was not what flipped the switch at all. It was actually gratitude that had to come first. So 3 years ago, I had like a public breakdown. It's fully documented, it's everywhere. Um, 0 out of 10 recommend. But it was wild because when I came back, I had to kind of basically rebuild everything because
Mhm.
overnight I pretty much, well, not overnight, it was like 3 months. I tanked my reputation and people were like, now we're nervous about her. And so I came back and there were a lot of crickets in a lot of places that used to have a lot of chatter. And I was just like, this is uncomfortable. And so I decided to start with gratitude as much as possible. And over the last 3 years, it has gotten to the point where I wake up and I go, and this is so cheesy because I always said I wouldn't be this person. I'm so grateful for this cozy bed. And then,
Mm.
but I'm also grateful that I get to have some coffee. Let's wake up. And then Paul and I make the bed, and that's our act of like gratitude for the bed, the linens, everything. I used to like be annoyed with the people who are always like, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And truth be told, it has changed everything. I swear my face like it has been lighting up differently lately because I'm experiencing gratitude in the small just as much as the big, if not more.
That's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, The Soul of Money, it was recommended to me, and there is a quote where it was talking about abundance, like how like
Yeah.
it shows up. And so like when you first wake up in the morning, if you're like, oh, I didn't get enough sleep again,
Yes.
that's a symptom of lack,
Yes. And then
right?
you then you're vibrating at the resonance of lack. So it sounds weird, but you have to focus on here's what we do have. There's an abundance of, oh, we've got heat in the winter. It might not be as hot as I want, but it is here. I'm grateful for that.
I
Yes,
have AC in the summer. It's
so
cold.
grateful for AC this summer especially. But
Yes.
yeah, and I know a lot of times people will say like, but how can you be grateful when you don't feel like you have anything? And what I would challenge people to do, so I'm bipolar type 1, which means that there's stuff that happens internally that people don't always see. So
Mhm.
there are struggles abundant everywhere. Okay, you know what? I'm abundant that I have a brain that can handle multiple thoughts at once. Cool. Okay, so there's abundance. I'm grateful that my bed it doesn't have to be in my kitchen. I'm grateful for that. So you can look for what is true, and just by doing that, you will attract people who sense the abundance and gratitude from you. This all sounds so woo-woo, but it's actually
Yeah.
scientifically proven. And I, hands down, anytime I start to be like, ugh, things aren't going how I want now, I'm like, gotta stop, go back to gratitude. What is going well? Let's focus there.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's to help you reframe, right? Because we're
Yes,
looking at the same thing, we're just
yes.
looking at it a little bit differently.
Mhm.
It makes me think of the glasses, remember from National Treasure that they had to change all the lenses and they were looking at the same map, but depending on which lens, now you got to go back and watch it with your kids.
Okay, I haven't watched it because I don't like Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
Now I need to see that scene because I'm going to use that.
yes.
I'm going to say Nicole Tuxbury taught me this, a really cool framework. It comes from National Treasure. No, but like I love that. It's true
Yeah,
though.
but that's what it
Yeah.
is, right? And we have a
Yes.
whole section of our brain that is
Yes.
helpful to us in practicing gratitude. Like that's where gratitude comes from. And so we have to practice it. It's just like you can't do 100 push-ups right now.
Mm-mm.
If you've never done a push-up in your life, like it's going to
Yes.
be really hard to try to be like 100 things I'm grateful for. But as we go
Yes.
practicing little by little,
Yes.
we get stronger and it gets easier. And so I love it.
Something that always helps me too with that, because sometimes I can get really into a state of like victimhood and feel really sorry for myself. I get very negative if I'm not careful. And so I sometimes have to go to like the basics and I'll go, okay, I can't do a single push up, but I have arms. I'm grateful I have arms. Okay, what's this? Well, somewhere in there, there's a muscle. So I have muscles and my muscles can grow. Okay, I'm grateful for that. And then I'm like, that's all I got today. I'm gonna try one push up. And like that helps me when I'm like in that like super negative place and be like, let's go back to the most basic things. would life be harder without arms? Yes, I have friends without arms. There are more challenges. So today I'm grateful for these extensions. And that actually does do some reframing for me.
Yes, and like gratitude, like you said, it's
Yeah.
the studies show that it can even improve your health. Like it can help you
Yes.
feel less pain. So like these are documented things. And so like you're saying, just feeling that gratitude for those body parts is bringing awareness. You're
Yep.
bringing more blood. Like you're it's just a cascade of different things that happen just by you taking a moment to get into your body. Because especially us, we're neurodivergent. Sometimes it
Yeah.
sounds really weird if you're not, but like you feel like life is happening somewhere else and you're over here. And
Yes.
so doing things like that, like I'm grateful for my hands, I'm grateful for my arms, I'm grateful
Yep.
that my back hurts because at least I can still feel it. I can still walk.
Yes.
Um, that helps us reframe and that brings attention to those body parts and then it helps with other things. So I love that. I
Yep.
think that's amazing. Um,
Yes.
and I love your examples of how you apply it like in your real life. Like as soon as you
For real.
wake up,
Yep.
it's not like, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. It's like, oh my God, this bed is so comfy. I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
And then,
and you're
yeah.
intentional about creating that.
Yeah, and then I also try to like anchor things in with specific things. One of my go-tos is like a so it's a celebration, like a ah. So that's what I do always like when I'm backstage before I'm about to speak at events. I always go, this will be so great. So I'm on like a ton of videos for people's events where I'm backstage going, and it's like a hype up, and you can feel the energy in your body. So I'll do that when I'm like, okay, I got 5 hours of sleep last night. Okay, I was already tired before I went to bed. Okay, I'm alive. I woke up. I get another chance. I'm grateful I might be able to sleep tonight. Okay. And then it like tricks your mind into thinking, okay, the body's saying we're happy. Let's follow. That can help me quite a bit. So those little weird rituals that create positive energy.
Yeah, just like I've heard like standing in superhero pose.
Yes. Yep.
That's super helpful before you go into a meeting or something.
Yeah.
You imagine yourself as a superhero, as a king or a queen,
Yeah.
and then that helps you bring that energy into whatever it is that you're doing. So I love that. That is so
Yeah.
cool, and I love how you share like real life examples, right? Because it's
Uh-huh.
one thing for somebody to be like stand like this, but you're like, no, when I'm on backstage, like
Yes, that's what
this is
I
what I do.
actually do. It's I probably
I
look
love
so
that.
wild, but yeah. These are such good questions. My
Oh,
gosh.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Um, so as we're wrapping up here,
Mhm.
you mentioned that you have a gift for the audience. So I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. Okay, so is it cool if I actually just bring it up here now? Because I do have something that I think would be really helpful. Are you cool with that, Nicole?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So I have, this is going to be really helpful because I can sit here and talk about how gratitude and like we could talk all day, by the way. You're so great. We could
Thank you.
talk all day about gratitude and like the power of positive thinking. But when someone's in like that place where they're like, I'm so burnt out and overwhelmed, I can't even care at this point, it's really hard to get out of that. And I know that because I experience it. So when you're in that burnt out, right, that burnt out place, you almost need someone to say, hey, here's a lifeline to just pull you a little closer to shore so you stand a chance to swim to shore. So I actually put together an entire guide for the exact steps that I do. This isn't available anywhere else. It's not on my website for this one. So it's the burnout guide. I don't remember the title. I haven't released it, but it's this burnout guide that helps you when you're overwhelmed. There's too much to do and you're in a negative slump and nothing seems to be working. So I would love to gift that to your audience. I'll make sure you get all the details. And then anything else that you need support with, you can go to rachelpederson.com. All E's and a D in my last name. And there's just tons of free stuff on my site. It's more free than even paid. You'll see that very quickly.
I love that. I appreciate that so much. And your resources are amazing. Like,
Thank
it's
you.
not like you're getting like a little like pretend thing and be like, haha, you have to go to the next level to get the results.
Yes.
No, like you actually provide really good value up front. And so I just want to let you know that I do appreciate it.
I love creating them because I create them based on what I want to see and what would make me say this person's the real deal. I like to see action and results happen even from freebies. So people can
Yeah.
get that free resource. And even if you just latch on to like one of the concepts in there and you're like, oh, this helped make getting out of bed today 10% easier. Cool. That was a win in my book.
I love that. Thank you. That is amazing. And all of the links that she mentioned are going to be available down in the show notes. And usually we wrap up with your biggest tip. So, like, what is the biggest, best aha moment that your clients get? Like, what's that tip that you give them?
Yes. Okay. So when my clients and I are working together, every single one of them experiences and expresses doubt in different ways. So, some it's through control, wanting to know every single number at all times, and some it looks like emotional, like brain dumps and vents and things like that. And so, something I just want to remind everybody is that we all express fear or doubt or those things that are stopping us from taking action differently. So don't try to suppress that, but instead express it. Get out there, get it out. Like journal it. Go punch a boxing bag if that's your style. It's clearly not mine. But do the thing that helps you like get past the doubt, the fear, the I don't know if I can do this or I don't see the path. Like express it so that you can move on because it's been acknowledged by your brain.
I love that. Taking action, just creating something. And you know what it made me think of? I was watching a nurse. She is an OBGYN nurse. She helps women who are giving birth. And
Yeah.
she noticed a phenomenon when because like there's different stages to giving birth, and then each stage has different stages. I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw this video. But the moment that you go from like, like the contractions happening to like it's
Yeah.
time to push, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a moment where the mom says something to the effect of, I can't do this. This
Yes.
is too hard. I need to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And that is how the nurses know that it's time to push, that their body is ready to push, is when they think they can't. That's the moment where things are about to get real.
That
And
is,
so, is that cool, right? And so, just to back end your encouragement, if you feel like, oh my God, I can't do this, this is the moment where something is about to be birthed that's beautiful in your life, and you just got
yeah.
to keep going. I love that. Okay.
I want to add to that because, oh my
Yes.
gosh, Nicole, we could literally talk all day. I'm not joking. So when I was about to give birth to Dominic was one of the most like I was the most vocal with what I wanted to say, and I made all the doctors and nurses stop, and I made them look at me, and I needed to know that they were listening. And I said, I just need you to acknowledge for me what I'm about to do physically doesn't make sense. This seems impossible. How is a baby supposed to come out of me? Can you please, real fast, just acknowledge for me that this is impossible by what I know? And they're like, yes. And I was like, okay, let's go. And then it was like, okay, that's fine. As long as you can tell me this is impossible and it's still somehow going to happen. Same thing is true in business.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, that's
Oh,
beautiful. And so that moment of failure where it feels like you just can't anymore,
oh,
um,
I love
that's where magic. So since we're talking about failure, I just wanted to offer some encouragement. We've all been there.
that.
Um, and there's beauty on the other side. I haven't talked about this a lot, but I was Baker acted when I was younger as well, and so I had to go into the hospital. And so I just want to, I feel
Yeah.
safe because you talk about it all the time.
Yep.
Um, but there is hope. There is hope after depression. There is hope after hopelessness.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I just thought I should mention that. I thought it was important since this episode is really powerful. Like this is some
Yeah.
powerful stuff we talked about today.
There is definitely like life after challenges, failures, public failures. There's life after a psych ward. I want to put that out there because more people hide that than I think we realize, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I
yeah.
was there.
Yep.
And yeah, so I just wanted to let you know that I know, I know, I know. All right. So before we do sign off, the only thing we haven't talked about is how do we follow you on social media?
Ooh, easiest place is pretty much on every single platform. I'm at the Mrs. Peterson, or if you search for Rachel Peterson with all E's and a D in my last name, it'll come up pretty fast.
Awesome. Perfect.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. This has been just absolutely amazing, Rachel. You are an absolute gem. You're just an angel. I just so appreciate you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today.
This was easy breezy. Like this didn't feel like, oh, it's an appearance. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us. This has been amazing. And we'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. Bye.